Welcome to Butterflies of Wisdom, everyone. And as you know, I am the first woman in the country to walk in an exoskeleton suit. Now, you may be thinking, why is Wynn telling me something I already know? Well, basically, how I found my guest today, Jon, is through something that I accidentally said on a podcast interview I gave with Dr. Karen Litzy on the Healthy, Wealthy, and Smart podcast. These guys retweeted it, so then I got curious as to what Jon was doing, why he was retweeting a podcast interview that I gave, and I come to find out Jon is into robotics. So without further ado, I'm going to let Mr. Jon take it away.
All right, thanks, Wynn. So how are you doing today?
I am doing perfectly fine, and I am so fascinated by this piece of technology that you have now invented and patented. Please explain more of what you have invented and patented to my audience.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So basically this started when I was in high school. My grandfather had a degenerative neuromuscular disease called corticobasal degeneration. And I witnessed firsthand how hard this was for him to get to a point where my grandmother would have to spoon feed him in front of friends and family. And he just absolutely loathed this experience in every way. And I saw how it contributed to the acceleration of his disease. And in parallel with this, I was also volunteering in nursing homes and hospitals and experiencing the problem firsthand there as well. And then when I came down to Dayton, Ohio for college in 2006, I was bombarded with this problem again. There was a local mother who came to the school, and she had a daughter who was 6 at the time with a condition called arthrogryposis, where the mobility of the extremities is extremely limited due to a muscular condition. So it was at that time that it really clicked to me that there was a significant need here that seemingly has gone unmet. And I quickly acknowledged that this was a basic human need and arguably one of life's greatest pleasures, if not the greatest pleasure, that we have to do every day. And all of us enjoy eating with other people and socializing and just enjoying the diverse array of foods that are out there, right? So I quickly began to realize that not only was this a need gone unfulfilled, but that there, how do I put this? I became very convinced that something needed to happen because I just couldn't stand this notion that there were millions of people in the world that didn't have access to an enjoyable or independent dining experience. And so it was at that point in 2006 that I just became obsessed and basically ferociously driven to do something about that, to change it. And 10 years later, in 2016, we launched the first product, Obi. So I founded the company. I'm the inventor and the designer of the device. And we hope that this is the first of many robotic products that help people see beyond their limitations and into possibilities.
Now, as my listeners know, I walk using a robotic suit. You've seen videos of me in the robotic suit. But these robots are not cheap. So do you think Obi's going to be covered by insurance companies one of these days?
Well, the good news is it actually is covered by private insurance. We've had a lot of success reimbursing it under a letter of medical necessity. And so we have a format that people can follow that is quite effective at accomplishing that. And Obi's in a unique position because it is much more affordable than the other robots that are out there right now. So typically, you're looking at spending over $50,000 for any kind of assistive robot that you can use in your house for a day-to-day purpose. But with Obi, we're in our advertised price is at $6,000, and we occasionally do programs and incentives, and in some cases we address individual needs directly. We also help crowdfund if people are interested in doing that option, and we also do rental and leasing options with various terms. So we really try to do everything that we can to make this affordable for everyone who needs it. And we are working our butts off over here trying to get Medicare and Medicaid to cover this eventually. And unfortunately, here in the U.S., it's a little bit of a journey. And unfortunately, the journey can't really begin until the product hits the market. Over in Europe, it's a little bit different because any new technology that comes out is immediately subsidized if it qualifies. So we're having a lot of luck completely reimbursing the product very easily over in the Netherlands, for instance. But unfortunately, the Medicare and Medicaid journey here does take some time.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And for those of you who are just tuned in and just coming out from under a rock, I hate to say it, but for those of you who are just tuning into this podcast, I have hemiplegia cerebral palsy. So yes, I know a little too well about the insurance companies and a little too well about this robotics thing. So yeah, I would not like to be in your shoes, John, trying to fight with Medicaid. I mean, it's tough enough to fight with Medicaid and consumer.
Yeah, well, we like a challenge, so
we do like a challenge, but
we're embracing the opportunity.
Yes, we do like a challenge, but it's tough enough for me to face it as a consumer. I can't imagine these phone calls on emails and paperwork you have to go through as a provider of this amazing robot. And yes, I have seen this amazing robot, and yep, it's amazing. It's actually, you guys, and John can expand on this, a spoon that goes into this robot. Yes, Wynn said a spoon, not a fork. And yes, Wynn was quite shocked yesterday when she talked to John about this over the phone. And so when Curiosity Kills Cat got on Facebook and saw the robot for myself, and I have now fallen in love with little Mr. Obi. And what it is it's a spoon, and it's a robotic arm, and it's a plate. And people can control the plate with switch controls. For those of you who don't know what switch controls are, they are adaptive devices for people with limited mobility. And so, yes, even though Wynn can eat on her own, Wynn is still falling in love with little Mr. Obi because I see a big future in this. I don't know about you, John, but I certainly do. The 2-minute videos that I watched on Facebook about it, my God.
Well, yeah, I appreciate your excitement about it. I mean, we're certainly, very, very optimistic about the value that it's going to bring people. I mean, when it's hard to actually explain how someone's life typically gets impacted by Obi when they use it for the first time. I mean, we love the stories that we're constantly being fed by our, pun intended, we love the stories that we're hearing from our users, and a lot of times it impacts people in just in surprising ways. So I can give you, one example. And when we were doing our user testing a few years ago, we met a 15-year-old boy who had been quadriplegic since about the age of 3 when his family was in a unfortunate car accident. And when he first started learning to use Obi, he quickly picked up how to move it around and how to choose between the compartments of food and deliver the food to his mouth. And he quickly realized, after being egged on by his little brother, he quickly realized that he could pick up food from one bowl and move it into another bowl. And at this time, he was eating steak, M&Ms, and mashed potatoes. And so he started mixing his steak with his M&Ms. And for the first time in Isaac's life, he was able to actually be a normal teenage boy and play with his food. And his father, at the same time, was able for the first time to look at Isaac and tell him, Isaac, quit playing with your food. And Isaac and his dad kind of get in this typical dynamic of a teenage boy and a father. And Isaac says, well, I'm going to skip over, he said, finally I don't have to eat my vegetables if I don't want to. And so he and his dad just get in this dynamic that was, a small thing, a small moment, but it was very impactful emotionally to them because it was the first time they've had that kind of interaction together. And, it made Isaac's father cry. And, it's stories like that I think are just really cool and interesting to hear because that's not something I think we would have imagined this device creating. It's not originally, but, we hear stories like this all the time. And, another example is we had a woman who has a C3, C4 injury, and for the first time in several decades, she was able to eat popcorn and watch a movie and drink a martini. So she filled up one of the compartments of Obi with a martini, and she was able to just relax and enjoy a movie while snacking. And she hadn't been able to do that in, I think, 20-something years. So we love hearing these stories. And, we just think they're really cool. We just think.
Cool? And let's talk about what you coined to me yesterday is how can we integrate Mr. Obi in hospitals? Because what I'm coming to see firsthand is they put people on G-tubes. They put people on G-tubes, and then it's all well and good. Now, granted, I lost my mom to meningitis and / a brain aneurysm, as you guys will know. And so when they put her in mentally in this coma, how did they feed the woman? They put her on a G-tube. Now, granted, she wasn't functioning at the time. After the brain aneurysm surgery, she was. But I'm thinking that the G-tubes have got to get out of the hospital somehow because, one, you're dealing with a foreign object going directly into your stomach. Two, you're dealing with, I don't know how many calories of baby formula, essentially. They'll put baby formula and call it good. So now, you walk in, how are you going to present this to doctors in the trauma unit?
Sure, yeah. So we've been doing this quite a bit. So Obi is not only for home use, but it can be used in an assisted living facility or in a hospital. And one of the really cool benefits of OB from a healthcare cost standpoint is that it's one of the only medical devices that's out there right now that actually has the potential to reduce cost. And it does that by enabling someone to have, of course, an independent experience with eating, but it also frees up the person that would typically have to be doing the feeding to go do something else. And in this case, nurses and caregivers are always understaffed. And so when you're absolutely right, you get this benefit of not being on a feeding tube, which has just a lot of risks, and it's expensive, and no one wants to be on a feeding tube for obvious reasons. And so you get this much better experience. If you're a qualified, person to use it, you get a much better experience, and then you get to help improve the efficiency of how the hospital's running. And that's one of the big exciting benefits of robotics here in the next 10 or 20 years is this ability to reduce the cost of healthcare. And healthcare cost is out of control, and there's just a lot of exciting opportunities to help rein in that cost for everyone by making everything from treating medical illnesses to diagnosing conditions much more efficient and much more value added. So, everything from robots like Obi that will help you eat, to robots that will help you remember to take your medication, to robots that have access to big data and artificial intelligence that can access all these medical journals that are in existence and double in volume every 5 years or so. And IBM is actually already doing this with a robot called Watson, which is an artificial intelligence program.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, that's really cool that he can access all this, Watson can access all this metadata. Yeah. And just be able to diagnose cancer and figure out what treatments and what medications will work best, almost, in a few minutes. So there's just a ton of ways that robots can potentially reduce the cost of healthcare going forward. So and it's going to have to happen because as our population ages and as the costs continue to rise, we're going to have to do something because it's almost unsustainable.
Yes, we are. And don't get me started on healthcare. Jeez. Don't get me started on healthcare. Jeez, that's a whole nother podcast rabbit hole, and I know. Go down. Yep.
Yeah.
Know from the providers and I know from the consumers and robots are lovely, but robots are expensive. And now, before I let you go, Jon, to go back to your amazing OB and your work in the role, I want you to ask me questions about robotics that you've been dying to ask me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the big questions I have for you is simply, I'm dying to live vicariously through your experience with an exoskeleton robot and just what that felt like for you and what that experience gave you. What did you feel? How did that transform your sense of possibility for the future? What did you think of that experience?
Well, the first time I did it, the first time I got in the robot, it scared me half to death because I'm like, oh great, a big giant robot, and I am a 5-foot-tall woman, and I'm like, oh great, this is going to be a disaster and a half. But as you guys can see in the videos of me, there's a PT standing behind each patient controlling the robot. So, of course, they wouldn't let me fall over in a $1,000 machine. But to me, it gave me freedom, and to me, it gave me a sense of hope that I still have the mobility in my legs that I could get back. Now, granted, I'm not in triathlete shape anymore, although give me a month and I could be, but I am in the best physical shape I have ever been in my life. I had better days with cerebral palsy than I ever had in my life, thanks to Mr. Exoskeleton, and thanks to the Galileo tilt table that decreases my tone. I needed the Galileo tilt table for a month and a half, maybe it was 2 months, before I was able to get in the Exo, because with the Exo and my tone, the Exo doesn't like me. So unless I control my tone first with the Galileo tilt table, the Exo will go into freak out shutdown mode. And so the Exo and I have become fast friends. And yeah, it's been a really interesting experience walking in a robot.
So, Wynn, do you have one that you use on a daily basis now?
I wish. No, but I get in a robot twice a week.
Oh, okay.
And so I wish I had one at my house, but as we talked about before, robots are minorly expensive. So I wish, but I get one twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays, and quite frankly, I feel better after it, because it's not only improving my gait, it's improving my bladder, it's improving my heart, it's improving everything under the sun. And so I wish I had one. I wish I was standing in one while giving this interview. I truly do. I'm not making it up. And so, but as we talked about, it's not approved for home use yet. I believe there's only one robot that you can stand in that is approved for home use, but hopefully in my lifetime, I will get a robot in my home.
Oh, I bet you will, Win. I think sooner than you probably are expecting would be my guess. I think we're on the verge of getting coverage for a lot of these devices and getting them to the point where they're extremely safe, for home use. And oh, by the way, I saw you on the Bridging Bionics Foundation's website on their video on the main page.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. But yeah, I was surprised.
That's the robot.
Yeah. And I was surprised to learn. I was surprised to learn that the exoskeletons had that many health benefits. I mean, I knew it had a few, but I was surprised when I read about the extent of all the benefits.
Yes. Yes. The extent of all the benefits of the exoskeleton is amazing, and I'm happy to say I'm one of the lucky recipients of this amazing gift of robotic technology.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a very bright future. When there's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening. We're just now starting to see the promise of robotics come into fruition after decades and decades of there being a hope or a fantasy about robotics. But we're finally starting to see us fill in this middle ground in between hobby robots and industrial robots that put cars together. We're finally starting to see this middle ground of charming, usable, stylish robots for home use that can be used, every day to improve our lives. So it's exciting to see what's going to happen. And I think the costs are a big concern right now because it's brand new technology. But as with all technology, the cost is going to come down, and and the impact is going to broaden. It's just a matter of time, and I think it's going to happen quickly.
Yeah. Well, I might, even though I can feed myself, I might need to see OB in action here, because OB's going to join the exoskeleton. The exoskeleton, by the way, guys, is out of California. OB has a big brother. Maybe OB can help the exo and help people get back up on their feet to stand at a counter and eat. That's
right. That's right.
Yeah, that's my hope, to combine the two robots together. Hello? That's my hope one of these days, that people who are on the weight band can stand on a counter and eat and drink too. And
absolutely.
So that's my hope one of these days. But do you have any more questions for me, or did you just want to live vicariously through me with the exo?
Oh no, I have more questions. I really want to know just what you think the best part about being an entrepreneur is, and how your life has changed since you've become an entrepreneur. Because I know for me, since I had decided to believe in my vision and really step out and do something that's a little bit of a moonshot and push myself beyond my perceived limitations, that I've just been bursting at the seams with passion and purpose every day of my life. And I'm curious to hear from you how if you've had a similar experience or how it's affected your life.
Oh, well, I have had a similar experience to you. I also teach one day a week. I have decided I'm a full-time podcaster who plays teacher on the side to kids. And so I'm doing this for people that cannot speak. Now, as of today, I'm doing this for people that cannot eat on their own. And one of my guilty pleasures is I love food. So OBs, if I couldn't eat, I would definitely use OB. I would hope that, as I said earlier, I hope that the two robots get to combine in a play date one of these days. And
yeah, it sounds like a good video.
Me being an entrepreneur has sparked my passion to live in my mission on promoting cerebral palsy and what it is, and promoting disabilities in general.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, you're certainly doing a good job at it. It's pretty inspiring how much you're actually involved in on a day-to-day basis. I mean, just looking at everything that you have going on, it's pretty remarkable for anyone.
Well, thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. And I just hope that OB gets the power and the light it needs to be in a hospital. I hope the next time I'm in a hospital and I have limited mobility, OB gets to accompany me on the meal tray. Thank you very much, because OB's not just for cerebral palsy, it's for limited mobility, but I'm sure you could use it when you're recovering from surgery, can't you?
Oh yeah, I mean we absolutely hope that that's how it will be used. I mean, there's a lot of ways that it can be used, and it's very accommodating. And I'd love to send you one for you to play with. I mean, it's fun for anyone to play with and experience. And we eat with them here in the office all the time. So because we're constantly looking for ways to improve the user experience or improve the way it picks up food and how it works. So I'd be more than happy to send you one if you want to play with one.
I would love to test it out, and I would love to see how implements of. I would actually love to do a little experiment with those robots and see if see if there is a way that we can combine both robots eventually so that
Sure.
people could stand up and eat, because eating is not meant for sitting. It's meant for standing as well. And that's very nice of you, because my assistant, Danielle Coulter, and she was so excited when I said he's invented a robot for eating. And my assistant, Danielle Coulter, has cerebral palsy, and part of the cerebral palsy, she had the umbilical cord wrapped around the neck. And of course, this is public knowledge, because she doesn't mind me talking about it. But
Right.
part of the cerebral palsy is that she has a difficult time eating. So when you hand me Obi, guess what? I'm going to hand the door and say, look, this is what I was talking about. Here it is. Try it out and see if you like it, and see if that can help her, because all we're trying to do is give people a glass of wine and give people a couple bites of steak. I mean, in the video I saw last night, you guys, there was Army sergeant who was eating steak, and he goes, man, this is so good. Man, this is so good. And his wife said, can this thing go a little faster? And then I hear John in the background saying, he's controlling it. And he goes, the Army sergeant looks up at the camera and he goes, man, this is so good. And so for that, I'm like, okay, now I need to get Opie in my hot little hands and give it to my girlfriend, just so she can try it, and just so that she can see what it's like to eat on her own without making a mess.
That's right. Yeah, and that's one of the things that's really cool about it, Wayne, is that it's smoother than a human arm. So it's very good at drip avoidance. So if you do an experiment where you take your arm and you take it like 2 feet back, most of us eat like soup or a bowl of cereal by putting it straight up to our mouth and to avoid dripping. But with Obi, it has to go quite a distance to your mouth. And if you do the same experiment where you take your own arm and you move it from the bowl of soup or cereal up to your mouth, you'll probably spill it. And then if you watch Obi do it, it'll actually bring it to your mouth drip-free, because it's just the motors are so precisely controlled. The accelerations are just ideal for keeping everything in one place.
Now, where can the people go find Obi? Where's Obi hiding? And how can the people help you support what you're doing? I think this is amazing, by the way. And how can people support you, and how can people get the word out about Obi? And I'm thinking about everyone that I know with mobility challenges, and
so the best way to learn more about Obi is on our website at www.meetobi.com. And there is quite a bit of information there. But then our Facebook page, just look for Obi Robot on Facebook, is also another great place. As you know, when I sent you that the link yesterday that had all of our videos, that's a great place to learn about what other people have to say and explore a lot of our videos and other content. So we also go, we're constantly going to trade shows. We're going to the Abilities Expo here in New York in another week and a half. So we're looking forward to that. Have you ever been to an Abilities Expo before, Wynn?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
See,
there's...
You guys have given me more travel to do. No, I haven't. But I should. I should. I need to now.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty cool shows. So they have one in LA, Chicago, New York, Dallas, I believe. They have about 8 of them a year across the country, and they're a great place to go to view up-and-coming technologies that are just coming out of the market. So you can experience the exoskeleton there. We're there. A lot of other robotic type devices are typically there, and just other medical distributors and that sort of thing that aren't as interesting. But it's a cool place to go to just see what's out there if you're not familiar. And we enjoy going, and we meet about 200 to 300 people every time we go, and get to hear everyone's story and watch people experience OB for the first time, and capturing those initial experiences is always fun to watch.
Well, yeah. After I get my degree in journalism, guess what? Mobility Expo, here I come, because I need to learn more about mobility. I don't know. I hate to admit I have my own disability. I don't know enough about mobility. I should. I live with a walker. I should know enough about these things. That'd be that podcast host who doesn't know enough about her own disability and enough about robotic technologies unless she's introduced to it. So after I get my journalism degree, guess what, you guys? I'm feeding it to a mobility expo and interviewing some people, because I think the word needs to be spread about this amazing technology. And I thank Jon for coming on my podcast and introducing
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Obi, and I hope you have success with Mr. Obi. Y'all know I love it. And so if you guys want to go check out Jon's work and Mr. Obi will be found in the show notes, and I'm sure that you will probably see Mr. Obi on my Instagram. I will definitely post a picture and definitely see what I can do with Mr. Obi, because this is amazing technology, and you guys need to start supporting this technology. I mean, it's coming fast and furious. Robotics are coming fast and furious, and I'm not the only one that wants you to support it. Jon certainly does. Amanda Barksdale certainly does. She is the friend of mine that crowdfunded the exoskeleton for herself, and now has given it to me to use via her foundation. And so, yeah, robot technology is here to stay, and that's all I'm going to say about it. And please, please, please go check out Jon's work. Go check out Amanda's work, and then I'll be really happy when the two robots get to play and see what we can do with the exoskeleton and Mr. Obi. And so I appreciate Jon coming on this podcast and explaining Obi. And this podcast has been sponsored by Grace by Grit. Grace by Grit is a clothing line out of California. They have nicely given you guys 20% off any athletic wear on their site. And and this podcast has sponsored by GoKidda. A desktop site for Twitter. You compose the tweet, they put the hashtag, and again, I like what Jon is doing, and I'll be following Jon's progress to the best of my abilities. And if Obi becomes any smaller, I will certainly let you guys know, and please share this episode out with someone you think that needs it. Thanks to you guys.
Yeah, Wynn, thank you for the opportunity. It's been awesome. It's been fun talking with you this afternoon. I appreciate it, and I'm definitely going to send you an Obi. So shoot me your address whenever is convenient for you, and we'll get you one to play with. I would love to see a video of the exoskeleton and Obi working together. That would be awesome.